On the latest episode of Eddie Griffin's podcast, The Butt Naked Truth, the comedian spoke on politics and how he doesn't like the Democratic Party because he doesn't like sneaky racists. He prefers his racism right in his face. Also, this past week, Ice Cube was a guest on the Full Send podcast where he echoed a similar statement as Eddie Griffin. Ice Cube said that the black community has supported Democrats for the last few decades and nothing has changed. Because there doesn't seem to be any progress with black issues, it brings up the question, is it time for black people to leave the Democratic Party? Today we have our comedy hype analysts Danielle Miller, Capone, and Pierre calling to the show to give their thoughts and reactions. But first, let's take a look at this clip.
I just went to LA last weekend.
Oh, well, yeah, because you're in California. You're in the Democrat state. I'm sticking with the reptilicans. I like my racism right in my face. I don't like sneaky racists. And that's them Democrats. I like a dude to be a dude, a chick to be a chick. I'm identifying as a bird. We'll fly somewhere else.
Now, Pierre, we've talked about Eddie Griffin on the show before, on his podcast. I'd love to know what's your reaction to it? And also, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's time for black people to leave the Democratic Party?
Well, I agree with Eddie Griffin. I like to know what you are. Anything in life. We all don't like anybody who's gonna hide something. We kind of want you at face value. But we live in a world where people are ostracized if they tell you who they are, how they really feel. So people are gonna keep a lot of that to themselves. It's not gonna be because we don't accept for you to be open as we should be. The Democrats, blacks leaving the Democratic Party. I think we've been there long enough, and I think a lot of people who just automatically vote for a Democratic, person. Democrats are more about sharing the wealth. Republicans are more about getting the wealth. And since we're not in a lot of positions to get the wealth, we feel like we've always needed to be around people who want to take care of us, give us, government subsidies. And where Republicans are like, go out there and get your own. Get your own. We'll help you get your own, but get your own. Well, we've been on so many years, we weren't in a position to get our own. And that's why we weren't too much. But now people are getting their own. There's more black businesses. And Democrats are more into giving breaks for businesses, and there are more black businesses. So I can see blacks wanting to move on over to Republicans because it's more now about get that money, get that bag. And Republicans always been about getting that bag. So I can see, I think it's time for us to move on, for those who are willing to get that bag and have businesses a la Capone. And I don't have red on today because I'm a Republican.
I was gonna say, I know it wasn't on purpose, but I do find it funny how both you and Capone have on the opposite party colors. So Capone, I have no choice but to come to you next. What's your reaction to Eddie Griffin, and also, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's time for black people to leave the Democratic Party?
I agree with Pierre. My thing is, what party has ever done anything for black people, period? And what is the reason for the separations of the parties? You never really understand what is a Republican or a Democrat. It's just names that they put in there to cover a certain criteria of people. But I don't really see a difference. I don't at all. And I think that, and you made a statement, is it time to leave? Leave where? And can we create our own? Is there a possibility that we can create our own? If not, what is the difference? You vote for who you're voting for. None of them do nothing for us anyway.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people agree with that. Now, Danielle, we have Pierre and Capone agreeing with each other today. So today is, it's off to a great start. Let me bring you in.
They always agree with me. Come on now, they always agree with me.
It's always a big deal. We got to make it a big deal. Danielle, let me bring you in. What's your reaction to Eddie Griffin? And do you agree with him that it's time for black people to leave the Democratic Party?
So, first of all, let me say kudos to Eddie for being able to speak up on such a topic. When he said Democrats, I sort of laughed. No offense to the Democrats, but it was sort of just a very clever play on words to get his point across. I'm going to bring this home here to me. So I was involved in politics here in the Bahamas, and we have two major political parties, ironically, a red and a yellow party. And what I found out in politics is the reason why I got involved was to figure out how do I help this country on a holistic scale. So I got involved in politics. And what I've found out is one of the key components of politics is money. Like, we hate to admit it, but money is the key component here. And what actually changes things is the individuals that are in the seat, not necessarily the parties that you choose. Because let's be honest, everybody has the agenda. And if you have somebody funding your party and funding you, then you are loyal to that person. So the only way we can get people loyal to a better agenda of making sure that we all are straight is the fact that you fund them. And it doesn't have to be one wealthy person. It could be a whole community coming together and putting up for a certain candidate to run inside of a seat. And that's also how numbers are made. A lot of people pay attention in you guys' case, the president, but you also have to pay attention to the Senate. You also have to pay attention to all those representatives that make up the House. So I think that's the way how Black people as a whole across the lines can do better in this politics thing, or can get better results. It doesn't matter if it's Dem or Republicans, or for us, if it's red or yellow. What matters is what's in the seat, and how do we get better people in the seat when we come together and we fund candidates.
Yeah, Danielle, thank you for your insight. And thank you for the reminder, too, that I completely forgot that you're in politics. So I think that definitely adds a lot of value. Now, if you all remember, a couple years ago, Ice Cube would actually, get a lot of backfire online when he presented the contract with Black America to Trump. A lot of people, were upset at him when he was having the same conversation. Ironically enough, he is also going viral along with Eddie Griffin on a recent podcast interview that he did. So I want to take a look at that clip.
Like in the 2020, when you kind of supported Trump and stuff like that, because you're Hollywood, there's a lot of like propaganda and stuff like that. What was that like, getting flack for that?
I never supported Trump or Biden. I created a document called The Contract with Black America. The Republicans asked to talk to me, and the Democrats.
You think there's like a stigma amongst like the African American community to like Republicans and stuff like that?
I don't know what's going on in the African American community when it comes to that. Black people have supported Democrats overwhelmingly for 50, 60 years, and nothing has changed.
Pierre, I'm coming to you now. I know you remember when Ice Cube got all that backlash, right? When he presented the contract with Black America, pretty much saying the same thing we're hearing from Eddie Griffin. Let me get your reaction to hearing from Ice Cube, recently on this podcast. And do you think Black people are just loyal, and I think you mentioned this earlier, are just loyal by default to the Democratic Party?
Well, one thing I got to say, in all due respect to Mr. Ice Cube, is enough of being on the white podcast. Come to mine, brother. Okay, Pierre's Panic Room. I'm in LA. Come to me, brother. I bought your DVDs and CDs and shit back in the tapes and shit back in the day. All right, let's get that together. We can sit down and have a talk. But no, in all honesty, I have no problem with him going and talking to the higher ups. If someone is bothering you, or you need something, you're trying to change something, one of the smartest things to do is to go to that person. The people who shout and are mad about that aren't business people. They're not really movers and shakers. It's just some niggas in the street. Man, why Ice Cube got to go to there? When you're a businessman and you know how business works, you go to where you need to make changes. And that's what Ice Cube was, Steve Harvey was. So I have no problem with him going there and talking to Trump or whoever he needs to do to try to change something. Yes, Black people have been loyal to the Democratic Party for just the reasons of, if you look at the Republican Party, it looks nothing like us. It's almost always white, always older white males. If you look at them giving speeches, behind them is always white people. Nobody's Black. So we feel like we're not included into that, in that group of Democrats. Republicans. So that's why we've been Democratic for so long. We have been told stuff by Democrats that we like to hear. And a lot of times it doesn't work out the way we want it to work out, because at the end of the day, it's a business. The United States of America is a business. And if you're not getting what you want out that business, it's time for you to change your strategy or your grouping or whoever you belong with. So I think it is a good time for us to do more of a wake-up call. Well, I have always, but other people who are just loyal to the Democratic Party, wake up, look around. Are you being helped by that group? If you say, I'm not being helped by nobody, then start your own thing. Start at your own thing. Don't always ask for help from someone if you can't strap on the boots and make it happen for yourself. Martin Luther King was a Republican too. A lot of people don't know Martin Luther King was a Republican.
Hey, I definitely did not know that. So thank you for for sharing with the red on. You really coming with it today with the red. I know, I'm kidding. Danielle, let me come to you before I get in trouble, because you know when you come for Pierre, he blow the smoke, and I don't want any smoke. So,
I have your back, Symphony. I have your back.
That's why I got to bring you in. Danielle, let me get your reaction to Ice Cube. Now, I'm going to say this again for our audience and for you as well. You know, Ice Cube got in trouble, or not in trouble, a lot of backlash when he presented the contract with Black America to Trump, you know, during the time that he was being reelected. And, you know, a lot of people had a lot to say, and now here he is again going viral for, you know, his comments on, hey, Black people have been loyal to the Democratic Party. Let me get your reaction to Ice Cube, and what do you think? Do you think Black people are just, I don't know, I guess loyal by default to the Democratic Party?
I think, I get in trouble when I say this, but I think us as a skin color in general, we're loyal to anybody that's talking what we want to hear. We're loyal to the hype. We're loyal to the sensationalism of it all, right? And I think what's very important is for us to really take the time out with all of our political parties to, number one, understand what their base is, what their foundation is, what them as a party stand on, and number two, actually sit down and read the policies that they're proposing. I don't fault Ice Cube for taking his I don't fault him for taking that to Trump. I don't fault him for taking it to the Democrats, because in all, what he's just trying to do is trying to make things better for the community. And I think he was pegged, if I can remember correctly, he was pegged as being a Trump supporter because that's what got the most press at the time. Again, what's being pushed in front of our face. So here's what I would say to us in our community. When it comes to this political landscape, you got to decide which side you want to be on. If you want to be in the political side or you want to be on the activist side. And that's where you find your voice. If you want to be on the political side, then you have to mark certain political lines and be politically correct in everything that you do in order to get to the bigger picture. If you want to be on the civil rights side, you could rant and rave and talk as much as you want, but there has to be action behind what you do. Ultimately, that's what makes the change. Action is what makes the change. You moving for politics, or you moving towards being that civil leader, that activist that you want to be. So I don't fault him for that. I take his act as activism because he isn't towing any party line. He just was trying to make things better for the community. So ultimately, decide what you want to do, and also make sure you read these policies and read the foundation on what these parties stand on before you go hard right or hard left. Maybe you might be a middle ground person that's an activist.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you, giving options and giving solutions there. You know, we're big on solutions. Capone, let me bring you in. Same thing. What's your reaction to Ice Cube? And do you think Black people are just loyal to the Democratic Party by default?
At first, we were looking at him like he was crazy, because honestly, a lot of us did not understand. And as we've gone longer into what political is and learn more about it, we realize that the parties don't mean nothing. I remember before Trump ran, he actually said to the public, I don't know who I should run with. Maybe I should run with Democrats or Republicans. And then he said, I'll probably win faster with the Republicans. In other words, I remember me and Pierre arguing about it when we was so gung-ho about the best way I could say it is Pierre said, well, which one would you vote for out of the two evils? Which one is the better out of the two evils? And it's funny how it resonates now, because Joe Biden and his vice president were putting Black people in prison and did all the prison laws for Black people back in the days. And we overlooked all of that and just voted because we wanted something different. We figured we'd pick the lesser of the evils. And the sad part to say it, whether Trump is a Republican or a Democrat, he told a lot of truth that came out now. And we weren't looking for truth then, we were looking for change. We were trying to look for something that would better us. And as we got the surprise, it's worse. At least we had somebody, whether we liked it or not, we knew the truth. We knew exactly and they speak about the racist card a lot. Trump followers were the racist people. His followers were the racist people. And you look at it now and you're like, God damn, I wish maybe I would have thought a little bit more before I put this old man in there that actually don't know what the hell he's talking about. That's the way I look at it.
It's something about the blue, the red, and the black on today, because y'all are coming with it, and I love every bit of all the information that you're sharing. Now, a lot of people get upset when they just hear from celebrities. So we're going to go to a commercial break, but when we come back, I want to take a look at this video of Representative Burgess Owens, who would actually speak on this over a year ago at a hearing about lynching and racism. Let's take a break.
Fridays at 8 on Peachtree TV.
Why do you feel it's so important to support Black-owned businesses?
Some of Atlanta's best Black-owned businesses take center stage.
Whoa!
Black Friday Report.
Okay. Oh!
Only on Atlanta's own Peachtree TV.
And my Democratic friends use it to brand America as racist versus what the Democratic Party has done. So let me give you a little history, because you're right. Anti-lynching bills have been placed for a long time, stopped every single time by the Democratic Party. It was the Democratic Party that fought for slavery. It was the Democratic Party that fought against the anti-lynching bill in 1918. It was the Democratic Party that put together Jim Crow laws. By the way, Wall Street, Black Wall Street, destroyed by Democrats. The filibuster, you're right, it's been used to stop civil rights. Democrats have used it to do that.
Danielle, if I had to say so on it, looks like the Democratic Party is under a lot of fire. As I mentioned, that was from over a year ago. But, we're also seeing, Eddie Griffin talk about this. Also, other people, talking about the Democratic Party right now. Let me come to you, Danielle. What's your reaction to watching the clip, your thoughts on that, but also what's the solution here? Should Black people start their own parties? Should, we take away our loyalty from parties and just focus on the candidates? Can you give us some insight, being that, you have a political background?
First of all, wow. Because what he was saying was the history that isn't put in front of us, in front of our eyes. And you know what, whether it be good or bad, no matter the political party, I agree with Eddie. Be real with what's going on. Say who you are, state what your real agenda is, and let's move forward. I'd rather somebody be bold in my face than to try to do things behind my back. And that's just not for one particular grouping, that's for all groupings, because again, everybody has their agenda. That history lesson was a very important one, because again, it's something that you don't hear too often. For me, here's my thought. Black people were brought to America. Black people didn't migrate there. They were brought there, forcefully brought there. As all of us, even us in the Caribbean, we were slaves as well on the slave trade in terms of Europeans. So we were brought to the Western world. So back then, the agendas could have been screwed, and because Black people were seen as objects of slavery, of objects of work, we weren't even, notice I'm saying objects, we weren't identified as human beings. We were objects to get work done. That being said, the solution should be that Black people had their own party. Because you already have an established grouping of Republicans, you already have an established grouping of Democrats, you already have an established grouping of red, you already have an established grouping of yellow that has been around for years. I think what it's time to do is take over the system. And it's time to revamp the system, and it's time to infiltrate the system. I think, again, goes back to one of the key components in politics is money. More of us need to put together a collective to choose candidates specifically based on their agenda, and listen to their agenda, and not just the fluff, not just the rallies. Listen to them and put them forward and fund them and vote for them as well. I don't think the solution would be to throw up another third party, because the years it will take to get that third party to the impact that the red and the blues and the yellows have gotten to is going to take a while. But we need change now. We need change today. Like, let's say, for instance, the lynching just became illegal, I think, in 2022, which is crazy. That's crazy. In 2022, just in 2022, lynching became illegal. So I think that's the solution for us entirely as a community.
Pierre, let me bring you into this. After seeing that clip, I'd love to get your reaction. But also, what's the solution here? What do you think Black people should do? Should we create our own party? Should we take the loyalty away? What What are your thoughts on a solution here?
Things move in ebb and flows. People change, and I think people have well, they should be allowed to change. People if you don't like somebody, you can keep them strung up on something they did years ago, 50 years, 100 years ago. So the political parties have gone up and down for Black people. Sometimes they were working, sometimes it wasn't. Democrat or Republican or whatever the case may be, they got out whatever they got out. The best thing to do is nowadays, okay, if the Democrats were horrible back in the 1920s and 30s, okay, and the Republicans this and now they this, go into it doing your homework and saying, does this particular person or party help me out today with what I am, being a Republican or Democrat? Is it helping me out today? Not what they've done years ago, but today. People have changed. People have moved on. We all have. People watching this show right now have been a certain person years ago that they're not today. They wouldn't do certain things they did back then, they do today. So to me is look at the party, look at the people in the party, look at what it's really about. A lot of people don't realize it's really more local is what you need to concern yourself, local politics, because those are the ones that are going to change the roads and all these kinds of things you need in opening stores, closing stores, right there. The federal government is what it is. They fund it downward, but the local government is what you need to find. So you need to entrench yourself more into what's happening locally and seeing what this person in your, community or, who's representing your side of the situation at the moment. And find out what they're doing, what they'll do for you as a whole, because we need help here, not necessarily around the whole United States, but here, you know what I'm saying, enacting laws and enacting stuff at your local level, more important. So look at that and don't look and say if it's a Republican or Democrat. Look at what they're doing for you or what they can do for you or go see and speak. And that's one thing we as a whole, a lot of times, don't go. I go to political meetings and I see who's there. And there don't be a lot of us be there. That's being real. You know what I'm saying? At times, like, wow, so or even us as a group, like, there's a place that hosts 200 people to hear somebody speak, a local government person. There's 10 people in there, 10 Black people in there. There's more than 10 Black people that need help in that whole community. So I think we just need to do our local stuff. That's the best thing I think we should do is focus on local government first and see what they can do for you and help you in your situation.
I love that. I absolutely love that, Pierre. Now, Capone did have to leave us, but I did see him shaking his head there. In agreement. So I think there's a lot of, agreement on here on today's show. So I appreciate you all for chiming in on this topic. Now, of course, before you head out, I'd like to know what you have going on. So Mr. Pierre, you close us out. So I'm going to start with you. What do you have coming up? And of course, how can people follow you?
Well, if you can't spell comedian, don't spell Capone or Capone comedian, since he ain't here, nigga. So comedian, Capone comedian. You've been on the show long enough, damn. You watched the show long enough. So follow him at comedian Capone, okay? Just spell it. Just put it in there somewhere. And me, it's Comic Pierre, COMICPIERRE. I'm gonna spell it for you ass, okay? So that's that. This weekend, I'm coming close to my lovely friend Danielle. I'm coming to the Bimini Islands. It's near the Bahamas. Hopefully I can, see she comes over. Hanging out with my good friend Ricky Smiley and some friends of ours. We're doing it big baller style. Well, I'm hanging on to the big baller, okay? Okay, I'm gonna be in all the pictures like it's my shit, okay? Like it's my boat, like I'm doing it big. Don't worry. Follow me on IG. You're gonna say, damn, you're doing it big. No, Ricky's doing it big. I'm hanging on, okay? I keep it 100, okay? Y'all should like me because I'm really keeping it 100. So, and this week on my Pierre's Panic Room podcast, check out Dr. Catrice Austin. Very funny. She's the dentist to the stars. She tells me a lot of funny stories about who got what tooth done, who shouldn't have got their tooth done correctly, whatever. Very funny sit-down interview. Like I said, she does dentistry work for a lot of celebrities, and she talks about who she's worked on and who needs to get their stuff fixed and who shouldn't have got the stuff done the way they have. So holler at me at Comic Pierre.
I love it. You are absolutely hilarious. Thank you for giving I was about to say comedian.
Really? You don't know who you're working with either? Is that with a K?
You'd be surprised. I get people, I see in the comments, people think my name is Tiffany and don't know how to spell my name. It's like it's at the bottom. It's very straightforward. Danielle from the Bahamas over there. I'm going to be extremely jealous when I see pictures of y'all, but all love in that. What do you have coming up, Miss Danielle? And of course, how can people follow you?
So what I have coming up is, first of all, shout out to Comedy Hype and the conversations that we have here. One of the best platforms on YouTube and streaming platforms out there. And what I have coming up is every Tuesday, I'm back here. And then also episodes of Sis that are coming this summer. So check out my YouTube channel. That's Danielle, Denielle. And you can also follow me on Instagram at DEEA Miller.
As always, I appreciate you all for chiming in on this topic. Very insightful. Seriously, I know we crack jokes, but I seriously do appreciate you all for adding your insight here. I think it's an important conversation that we need to have. So thank you to you all, and thank you for Comedy Hype for giving us the platform to have this conversation. But you heard from us, now we want it from you in the comments below. What are your thoughts about Eddie Griffin calling Democrats sneaky racist? For Comedy Hype News, I'm Symphony Thompson.
Put it in those comments.
In the comments, in a symphony, not Tiffany.
I know that's right.
Culture sounds like shea butter, like kente cloth, like hot sauce, like a hug with 2 pats and a slide, like pride, like a hair bucket with oils and ribbons and bows, like my forces are all white, but my mama black.